Hello, 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 everyone. Hopefully, everybody's doing great. I don't know what happened. We had a video ready to go. Let me go ahead and try to play it one more time. Irina, can you try to play it from your end since you're the one who has the control for it? No, let's go ahead and remove it and bring it back on.
All right, and let's just say that today's topic is the roller coaster of life, the ups and downs of emotions. And we wanted to start with a beautiful little movie, something visualizing, something just to inspire us. But I don't see if it's working, right, Johnny?
Let's let us know. Can you please go ahead and
Technology!
can you please go ahead and re put it into the video? Because I'm trying
Okay.
to. Okay, we're missing Irina. Okay. Well, everyone, this is a live situation. So, welcome everyone to the Learn video blog. Irina will be joining us in just a second. She's the one hosting today. There you are. Welcome back.
Hello, hello. So do I put again the video? Let me see
Yes,
if I
please.
can. Yes. Patience, and this is a good virtue for roller coaster of emotions.
Style for anybody. I have good days and bad days. I have broke days and paid days. Up days and down days. But every day, I keep going.
All right, we are done with this one. It was supposed to be another one, but this one came on time. And like I said, just trust the universe. Everything happens for the reason. And hello, everybody again. And today we have this powerful discussion about the roller coaster of life. So, what does it mean? It means that life has all different colors, right? Like the palette for the painting for the artists. So, the same thing, we all experience different emotions at different time because if we want to be happy, we have to feel what sadness is. If we know what day is, we have to experience the night. If we never know what sorrow is, we cannot experience the happiness and joy and fulfillment to the fullest. If we don't know what love is, we cannot experience what really hate is or fear, right? So all these emotions are playing the important part in our human experience, and we cannot deny but rather accept and process them at different stage of our life. So sometimes when we look at social media, especially, or when we talk to some people, it feels like they are living this blissful life. Everything is happy, just beautiful moments. Nothing really bothers them, and it seems like our life is out of order. So I'm here to shed the light that there is not a single person in the world who doesn't experience all the emotions. And if somebody is, like they say that our life is like a zebra, sometimes it's, with the black stripe, sometimes it's with the white stripe. But we are all here together to experience everything, all the emotions, all the life lessons that we are here to learn. And this just makes us more stronger and empowers us, and understanding that we are so much powerful than anything outside of us. And that's actually the topic for today. And I would like to start with Kara and ask her, since Kara is an expert, give us a little bit the science behind the emotions. Why do we feel happy or why do we feel sad?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. So, I will give you basic brain science, right? So, everything that you do, everything that you don't do, everything you think about not doing, everything that you eat, everywhere you walk, all of those experiences are coming in through your brainstem. Your brainstem is really just a giant toddler, right? It says, "Oh, I know what to do," and it goes off and does its thing. Or it says, "I don't know what to do," and it passes the buck up. And it goes into your amygdala, your limbic system. Now, your amygdala is like an overactive teenager. And this is where all of those emotions get processed. But this teenager has access to your entire history of emotions, all of them. And very often they will connect something that is happening here to something that happened way back over here because they see a connection. Think of it like Uno, right? Where in Uno you can play red cards or you can play numbers, and your brain will be like, okay, I stubbed my toe. That's a red card. And then, but it's also a two. So it finds another two, and it's like, remember that time you jammed your finger, which isn't anything to do with your toe, but it connects, and now you've got this pain awareness, right? So that's what your amygdala does, is it allows you to process all those experiences and create emotions, thoughts, feelings, memories, all of those. And then your frontal cortex sorts through the whole mess of that teenager's room and tries to find the things that it needs to actually get everybody out the door and working. So when you have an experience, for example, when you are new at something, once upon a time, you were new at everything. Literally all of the things. You didn't walk, you didn't talk, you didn't feed yourself, you couldn't even go to the bathroom. So you were new. And in that space, everyone else knew so much more than you did. So obviously, if there was a problem, must be with me. And every time you're back in that new place doing something new, even though you're an adult now and you've done this new thing 4,000 times and you're coming with way more experience, what your amygdala does is go, remember when we were brand new and everything was really hard and we don't want to go back there. We're going to be all alone and everybody's going to. And it takes you out there. And that's why we have feelings.
So true. I just love it. And like I always relate to that, like you mentioned, our feelings go back to our thinking, right? Whatever thoughts we think, whatever experience we bring into life, that's exactly how we are gonna feel, and these are the expressed in our emotions. So obviously there is a way to regulate all of that. And I just wanted to ask Johnny, because I know we could regulate our emotions with the art, like dance, like music, like painting. And since Johnny is an expert in dancing, tell us, please, how these positive emotions actually correlate with our mood and how we can elevate ourselves with the dance.
Well, I'm gonna speak more about a personal situation that I have heard from so many other people before I started dancing and even after I started dancing. Um, Anything you do in life is something that you identify yourself with, right? But to be honest, sadness is not something that we should identify with. We came to Earth to have a life, to be happy and fulfilled. So being sad is not a bad emotion. It's gonna, like Kara said, your amygdala is gonna start connecting things here and there that may safeguard you from kicking that pinky toe against every single wall, which is good. It's painful. You don't want that to happen. But also at the same time, that extensive or excessive pain is what's bad. Is whenever your soul and your entire body gets numb because you feel that you cannot go no more. And that is where dancing, painting, any activity that you do, anything related with art is gonna help you get into your happy place. There's no other way of describing happiness as whatever your soul feels connected with the Almighty. Why do I say this? I read this book, and they were interviewing a psychiatrist, and they were talking about a specific case. The case was about a lady that every night she was delusional, and she was having a dream every night that she was giving birth to a baby boy every night. And the very next day, she will wake up thinking, "Oh my God, just yesterday night I had a baby boy," and she's so happy. The nurses that were taking care of her will give her this doll, and she'll be happy. And then sometime along the day, her her memory will erase, and she will at night be on birth pains again and go through the whole thing again. And when they asked the psychiatrist what is the reason, because before this situation, why is she having those episodes? She's like, before this, she was a perfectly normal woman. She was married. She had a husband, but the thing is that she dreamed about having a baby throughout her marriage, and she never did. She never could. And right now, she's in a happy place. And even if I could bring her back into reality, I wouldn't, because she's in a happy place. So whatever your reality is, that's what I'm going to try to say, or what I'm saying, whatever your reality is, enjoy it and embrace it. And if you're not happy with your reality, reach to professionals, reach within your soul, reach and figure out what art is going to make you tick, make you smile when you get to the dance floor and when you grab a brush. So art is going to, it's just one of the things that will allow you to set your mind free. And that's what brings us happiness most of the time.
That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing. You know what? It comes when you were talking about all of that. I just want to ask Bruno now, because we are talking about how to elevate our emotions. Since Bruno is our gym expert, so tell us, share with us, how does workout actually impact your mood and elevate your emotional state?
Like it doesn't, for me it doesn't elevate, for me it balances, because like it's just one of those things where like um if I need to channel my energy and put it somewhere else, instead of doing things that are going to be wrong, right, and not very ethical, um if I go gym, I can put that effort, transform it into productivity and be productive with it, right, help myself. And at the same time, I think like when it comes to elevating your emotions, there's this quote that says like as above so below, as like as inside also as outside, right? Elevating your emotions without control. It's like for me, like emotion is like a fire. If you control it, it's all right, right? But if you don't control it, you burn everything around it. You burn your family, you burn your friends, and usually emotion can be very tricky because we should never let like our emotions be overpowered. Actually, the other way around. Sorry, we should totally let our intelligence overpower our emotions instead of the other way around. Um, and the other thing about like elevating our emotions for me, and all the experience that I had until today, and I had a lot of them, and we all had, because we're made of emotions, and that's totally all right. Which is it's cool. I've come to the conclusion that like without feeling, we're never conscious. Because, for example, whether if it's physical or mentally or whatever it is, something that is wrong makes us feel bad. But when we don't have an experience of how bad it actually is, if we never felt, we would never know, right? And we would live in ignorance lots of times, right? But the problem with then elevating your emotions is that elevating your emotions can also mean living in ignorance because of a thing called ego. And like And for me, that I'm young, my ego is like, woo, you know, over there. And that's the thing that, like, for me, elevating my emotions um, taught me that, like, it's also like not always about being right. It's about just having a normal discussion, for example, right? In any situation in here, we, even if we disagree with each other, we can elevate our emotions, but does not mean that we will ever, like, kind of, try to be right over the other person, because at the end of the day, we have to respect each other, right? And I think that's, yeah, that's kind of my take on elevating our emotions.
Awesome. Thank you. Kara, question for you. How can our body help us to identify the negative or positive emotions? How can we actually listen to our body to see and to feel these reactions of our highs and lows?
There are probably as many tools for this as there are stars in the sky or grains of sand next to the sea. Like, really, really, this has been a thing that humans since the dawn of time have been trying to navigate. How do I become aware of my emotions and then regulate them, because otherwise they're regulating me, and I don't love that. I don't love that. One of my favorite ways is a positive intelligence tool. I think we've done this before, but fingertips. Start rubbing your fingertips together and get really aware of the fingers and down to the ridges. Almost so aware that your fingers actually start to feel kind of sticky, like the ridges are sticking together a little bit. And then when you can feel them starting to stick together, try and feel your pulse beating and how there's just that nanosecond of a lag between the bottom of the ridge and the top of the ridge of your heartbeat. So what this practice does is it makes you hyper aware of your body, of your actual moment to moment existence, and puts you back in your frontal cortex. Once you're back in your frontal cortex, you can ask, what am I feeling? And the answers will come really fast. What is this trying to teach me is an excellent question to ask in that. So when you get, I use it a lot when, the hormone soup gets soupy and I'm already in a state of whatever is going on, the amygdala hijack. And then I'm just like, okay. What are you trying to tell me right now? Because kind of to what you were saying earlier, Rena, positive and negative emotions are so closely linked. They balance each other, and our existence is in a constant state of trying to get back to homeostasis and balance those things. So the more you can create balance in yourself, the more you can ask that question of your feelings and figure out where they're trying to balance you. It's really great. One of the things humans have the hardest time experiencing is actually happiness, because we immediately go to when that next shoe drops. So when you're really happy, when something great news has come in, if you do this, you can actually hold on to that experience for a little longer, pull that moment out and get really comfortable with it. You can even ask, what's the reverse of this? Because I don't need that right now. I want to stay in this happy place. But you can link the two and have that positive awareness of it. So that's one of my favorites.
That's beautiful. I truly love it. And it's all about just, like you mentioned, when we do something like that, it's kind of brings us back to ourselves, and it's all about self-awareness and self-reflection. That's what our emotions are, right? Just to recognize them and understand where you are, and pause rather than react in any given situation, right? It's so, so important. And not Bruno, Johnny.
Mhm.
Johnny, please share with us. We are going to take a round of everybody, as we have like a mixture of different cultures here. I just wonder, what was your experience, as like we all have coming from different cultures? How is it different in terms of like expressing the emotions, accepting the emotions? Like, what was your personal experience?
Whoa. Okay. Regarding that part, it took me a long time to express my to be able to be first to be okay to express my emotions. Just because of the whole "you're a man, men don't cry, men da 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 da." That's
Yeah.
one. And second, it has taken me a very, very, very long time to be able to connect with other men with the same issue. And that is my biggest challenge right now, because now I know how to open myself up, but I want to help them to reach, because in the his I mean, I think all the cultures one way or another steer men that's the way. You don't talk about your problems, you don't have in and to me that is a big no-no. I've had three people in my life that have committed suicide, men, because they didn't feel comfortable enough to talk to anybody.
Mhm.
And and not to pull a wage between women and men, but most cases in the world of suicide are men.
Yeah.
So it's to me that's scary, because I mean I'm blessed that I have a daughter, and but to me it's scary that some little kid will be there with a misguided adult, and I say misguided using the proper words. A misguided adult, that you're a boy, you don't talk about problems, you don't. That to me is bad news. We have to learn how to deal with our emotions properly, and find safe spaces like what we have here. So I 100% um aware that men in society, we have it tougher up to a point. So that's my 2 cents on feelings and the roller coaster of life.
Thanks so much for sharing. And as you were speaking, I was just saying to myself, it's great that we have the podcast like that, because it's all about bringing that awareness to the people, because this is not that widely spoken about, right? And I'm just going back to my culture. Like, I remember myself just dealing with my emotions. Okay, I'm the girl, and nobody was there saying, "Oh, come here, you could cry on my shoulder." No, my best buddy was the pillow. I would just hug it and I would just make it wet with my tears. And that was making me happy and content. And in our culture, right, like coming out, like Ukrainian, Russian background, it was all about, there was no distinction between girls or boys. Everybody has to be tough. That's how we were brought up. We were raised on these, like patriotic books about all these heroes that, like sustained that, World War II. And, like, what are we here, like playing in a sandbox compared to what these people were going through, right? So obviously you have to tough it up. You have to be the best way you can be. And obviously nobody was talking about emotions or anybody was like there for you. You just kind of deal it with yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Bruno, what was your life experience?
I've just started. Um. Anyways, well, when I was younger, right? When I was like, well, am I like? Do I say when I was a kid?
Yes, exactly. When you were the kid, right?
Okay, sure, yeah, fine. Yeah, sure. You are right.
I know you
When I
feel
was
like
like
the
a
kid
kid,
in
when
this
I was
group all the time.
Yeah. He's
yes, yes.
restricted for the compliments all the time.
I mean, you could either be my older brothers or sisters, or actually my mom. So yeah, which is weird. So I'm sorry. Anyways, so like, well, when I was like a kid, um, what actually happened was that I felt really lonely. So I was always suppressing my emotions, but it's not like I didn't want to say them. I always wanted to say them. I just thought nobody actually cared ever. And I remember when I was a kid. So when I was a kid, I used to play like team sports, right? And I played like futsal a lot. And basically, what happened was that like every single parent was there, minus my mom. And obviously, when you're a kid, you don't understand why. Today, I understand that to love a kid is to show them the support that, in my belief, they believe in. Right? It's like kids want parents to show the love on what they like to do, right? Because it's what they like to do as well, right? Kids are naive; they don't understand money, they don't understand life and stuff. They're not old enough to, right? And when you come to the conclusion that like everybody is the same, more or less, everybody goes through the same, right? How many more kids don't go through that, or even worse, right? And every single kid just wants to feel loved and be loved, right? And it's just one of those things where, yeah, I mean, but after some time, when I understood that, like, okay, my family is not the only person that I can open up to, right? But even before that, that little shame and even some pride that needs to vanish slowly before you actually open up, right? Because we think if we open up, we're being weak, because we're actually putting it out and we're almost making it real, right? But it's not really true. It's very important for men to open up, because like if not opening up is leading to suicide, then trying something else won't hurt you as much. That I promise. And I think Johnny can promise as well, and everybody in here can promise you that. Trust me.
So true. And I think we are going to go into commercial time. And after that, we'll go to Kara. She's going to share her experience.
Okay, so let's go to commercials. Let's see you in a second.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Kara Jean of Taking Care of Business. And what I know and what we do is we support you where you are with what you need. Because if you take care of you, then it's easier to take care of your people, and they're going to take care of your business. If that sounds interesting, come check us out at www.takingcareofbusiness.com.
Do you want to learn how to dance salsa and bachata? Well, now's your chance. We have 2 locations in Lake Worth and Commercial Boulevard in Florida. The first class is complimentary. All you have to do is sign up now.
Are you ready to meet the most important person in your life? Are you ready to have the date with yourself? How about learning what you're all about and what are your heart desires? For that, I invite you for my interactive workshop, Meet and Greet Your True Self, where you tap into your potential and understand what exactly you would like to create in your life.
And we are back. Woo-hoo! Too bad Carol left, because my next question was about how do we actually deal and process our emotions based on the gender. And Johnny, I let you go first.
Well, I think on that one, depending, like we mentioned a second ago, depending upon your background, you're going to deal with it completely different. But I think the most important question here will be, how do we do it healthy, in a healthy way? Because the women have this cycle. I mean, we're all men and women. We have all the hormones going all the time. But when you go through your cycle, you get a lot more of that activity every single month. So I think that is one of the things that we will have to consider. And I'm not saying that there's not women that are super, like, sometimes even better than men into keeping everything together. But it's the reality. Yes, yes. But the idea would be to figure out a way to create a healthy way of doing it for men and women. How about you, Bruno?
Yeah. Could you just repeat the first question?
The question was about how do men versus women process the emotions, and based on your own experience, since you are a man,
Mhm.
what can you share?
Regulating my emotions. Okay, yeah, yeah, exactly. So it was like Johnny said, obviously as well, and in my for, when I when I was when I was like kid, I used to be. I was always a very patient kid. Let's say I did went through things that kind of disturbed my emotions a little bit, but I always kind of came back from it. But then I'd go again, like something would happen, and then I'd go again, and then I'd get back better again, and then again, and then it's still happening nowadays. Sometimes I still have some anger bursts, but it's very rare, you know. Um, but it just comes to a point where like where it's just like enough is enough. But then it's just one of those things where like no, it's that's not an excuse. You can't just do it. And I think when it comes to regulating my emotions, it's a long journey. It really is. It's a long journey because again, when you're young, you know, sometimes you're naive and you think it's fine. And I know for a fact, like when the moment I start to get older and older and older, I'm gonna look back and I'm like, again, man, like your ego, right? It was only your ego, right? It's when you put your ego in front of everything else, which I did a lot when I was a kid, but I had a little bit of the example of like, because for example, like my parents, they were all like, for example, you obviously when you learn by with the example of your parents, right? And they were always kind of a lot at shock with each other. Sometimes it was my mom with my father. Sometimes it was my father with my mother. Much more my mother with my father. Much more, right? And my mother always had like a very very strong temper, you know. And I just got a lot. I just caught like in terms of catching, right? Caught a lot of like behaviors and traits and little ticks from them. Because I just believe that was the way to behave. Because when we're young, we think, you know, like for people who are right, who have the parents, right, it's tough to not believe that your parents do know everything because they're your idols, you know. And once you start to get older, the reason why it's such a long journey is because the journey doesn't start when you right when you start to I wouldn't say mismatch. I'd say like when you acknowledge those things. Because for me, it was acknowledging it was wrong, right? Believing like, oh, it's fine. If I change just one or two things, it's okay. No, no, no. When you then understand that you have like to relearn every goddamn thing you thought was true, that's when the journey starts. And that's why we're always learning as human beings, in my belief. Because okay, and that's why I believe like we're always learning as human beings because throughout many times in life, the first of all, the world is in constant evolution continuously, right? And for the world to be in continuous evolution, humans have to be in continuous evolution as well, right? Not just on the external, but also on the internal, right? Um, and for example, not just in my experience, but in many other experience, you can see that with like in many people that are in places of power in this world that have a lot of influence in the world. Those are people that can regulate their emotions correctly, right? And you see that by their actions, right? So I think obviously regulating our emotions is very important. me being a man. Um, but I believe that also for men and women, we have to. It's not just changing one or two things. That's what I believe we acknowledge in the beginning, but we get to a point where we simply admit that okay, changing one or two things is not enough. I'm gonna have to relearn everything, and that's what it is, and whatever. And that's when the journey actually starts, in my belief.
Thanks for sharing. Kara, you came in the right time. We are like sharing what is the difference between the way men practice emotions and express them versus women. And I already like gonna add on, and then I'll pass it to Kara because it was interesting, like because John was talking about, like women's cycle doesn't impact me. Maybe majority of women does, but for me, I'm like staying all the time stable. And I think for women, it's mostly like because we are considered to be more emotional beings. But then again, it all depends how we are processing it, right? So it all boils down to our awareness and how we deal with the emotions based on how much we really put on the work for ourselves and recognizing the emotions and recognizing how to deal with them. Because from like observation point of view, I see like men more in terms of expressing anger and rage, and women more like emotional in terms of crying and getting out the burst of like emotions, and it's more like from terms like a victim point of view a lot of times. But that's what I wanted to share. But for me, I kind of regulate them in a balanced way. So Karen.
So I'm gonna take it in the weird way that I always do. So physiologically speaking, as meat suits, we all process things essentially the same way. I mean, that's the reality. But we're all made of stardust, and that brings in some dynamics. So it's the hormone soup that changes how we perceive, process, and control our emotions. Now, I'm gonna go to the Hulk for this one, right? So has everybody seen She-Hulk?
Of course.
Yeah, yeah. One of the best moments in that for me as a woman was to feel so fully validated when he's like, I'm always mad. She's like, bro, me too, only I'm not allowed to show it. So in my world, that has been, and it's partly the corporate culture, it's partly the white culture, it's partly the hustle culture, like all of those things play a factor. But the expectation in my world was that you just didn't show it. You could have it, you were allowed to have all of the emotions, but the expectation was that you process that, and what you presented out in the world was to just. And I think that is not uncommon globally. I think that that's part of why it appears that there is a difference in how we process emotions, because depending on where you are and who is around you, what you're allowed to show changes. It's not that the emotions change. You still have all of the emotions. You don't get a say in that. But what you choose to show, what you are groomed and trained to do with those feelings, that really changes. And the expectations are exactly the same and completely different for all of us. There is a expectation that you're going to present a happy, shiny front because that's what society wants. And we want happy, shiny people in our society. And if you acknowledge the fact that behind that happy, shiny space is a whole hot mess, well, then you end up in podcasts like this.
Yes. But back to the point that I was trying to make earlier is not that that a women, because of their cycle, I condone or I'm okay with their lashes of craziness, because just like Irina pointed out, there's thousands and millions of women around the world that can manage their emotions. Just actually, as a matter of fact, yesterday night we got into a conversation with my daughter about that, where she pulled that "I'm a woman" card, and Daddy had to explain to her that "I'm a woman" card does not apply to me because I'm a woman. What makes you different? Absolutely nothing. You can't control your lashes of being upset or angry. Just like Kara said, not about that we're not allowed to show it most of the time. It's just that it's not the right thing. It's like if you would see me angry every single time that you talk to me, would you want to talk to me? No. And then why most women get angry in this? And I'm in my period, and I'm gonna do whatever Hulk wants. And that is just one of the things that I'm I'm starting to believe that is more of conditioning of society, telling people where it's okay to use the woman card.
Or the man
And
card. Yeah.
or
Exactly.
or the men
Doesn't
card.
matter.
No.
Exactly. It
The,
goes both
the
ways,
reason
right?
why I say the men card is because that's the one that I get to see. I don't get to see the men card, all the time. I have seen it, and I'm like, what the hell? And I roll my eyes, and I'm like, seriously, dude. But the one that I mainly see is that one using "I'm a woman" card, or the one that I'm identical as you. I want equal, 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 and then when it comes to time to pay the bill or do something that you really, really said that you wanted to be equal, it's like I'm a woman. So you don't get to pick and choose. Either you're a woman the whole way, or you get that equal representation that you really, really wanted. And that's part of the emotional part as well.
I've dropped this bomb.
Kiara, you have something to
Say
say.
something again. Yeah. Did
Please.
you know
Yes.
that physiologically speaking, when women are hormonal on their period, they're actually more, their hormones are more aligned to the standard male hormone on a daily basis?
Yeah, you mentioned that last time.
I
And I
did.
like to use that one. I like to use that one with so many people. Yes.
Yes. And so it goes to that, right? Like, so again, we're more alike than different. And the boys will be boys card and the but I'm on my period card, both of those have nothing to do with individuals. That's a social cultural concept that we have put together. And it comes from years and years and years of trauma and drama and inequality of saying, no, we can't allow women to have rights or purses or wallets because they're so emotional. And we can't hold the boys responsible for being upset when a girl is emotional because a boy will be a boy. And I like culturally, I think it was designed to make space for us. But as far as I can tell, all it has done is created a massive divide that neither side wants.
Yes. I
Yeah.
agree 1,000,000% with you, Karen, on that one. Yes.
So true. So let's share some tools. Like, what can we, how can we actually navigate that roller coaster of life? Because we all agreed that this is part of our life, right? We all ride the roller coasters. There are ups and downs. There are beautiful moments. There are ugly moments. There are moments that, with happy emotions. There are moments of sad emotions. So, what is the best way for us to deal with that? Who wants to go first?
I'll go with science and then
Yes.
so the science of emotional intelligence really it's stupid simple, guys. Like stupid simple. Literally knowing that things come in through your brainstem, pass up to your amygdala, and then go into your frontal cortex makes you more aware of your emotions. And that's literally the first step. Simply acknowledging that they exist. What you will find is more often than not simply going, I see you, I hear you, got it, is literally all the emotion needs. Because it's all about that homeostasis and finding that balance. So in the trainings that you go through with emotional intelligence, it starts with simply becoming aware. There are some really fun tools. A really great tool to become aware is actually external and then internal. So if you can sit there and you can become aware of the wind brushing across your skin, and then you can become aware of the sound of the cars further down the road, and you can become aware of the temperature changes in the room. If you can become aware of those external things, then put that internal. What are the temperature changes inside of your body? Where's the flow of that energy going? If you can see it external, you can apply it internal. And then when you have awareness, that allows impact. You are now aware of how the thoughts process through your brain. So the next time you're in the middle of an amygdala hijack where you're like, oh, even though the situation is like, meh, you'll be like, oh, that's that amygdala hijack that chick was talking. I'm in one of those roller coaster moments. Okay. And simply having that allows you to decide what you want to do, and your choice matters.
Beautifully said. John?
Well, Kara took part of what I was gonna say, but the thing is that there's no magic answer to how you have to deal with your own self or your emotions. But the key thing for all of it is being aware. Being aware is the biggest thing. Right now, I'm working because of what happened yesterday with my daughter. I'm working with my daughter to count how many times I get to remind her of something, either right or wrong, where I normally would have exploded. So that way, I'm becoming aware of my own um, attitude towards certain things. So I'm starting to write those down, and I'm starting to figure out what's going on with me. So being aware, I think, is the key for everything. And also, the other thing that I'm doing is putting it down an understanding on why it's that happening.
Yeah. Zach Ware just said that he said thank you for creating. Yeah, it's all about just to bring that awareness with the people and realizing like that we are all in it together, right? This is the ride for everybody. So buckle up and just enjoy that ride, right?
That
But
is right.
what I wanted to add, yeah, it all starts from self-awareness, going back right to that. And I think it also comes down to calm down our nervous system, right? And the best way to calm it down is just become grounded. And like Kara said, if you start like paying attention at something different than our thoughts, because our thoughts are these monsters that keep creating all these emotions. So once we know how to calm down our nervous system, it could be in the process of even meditation, right? Just calm down our brain, our thoughts to that stillness moment and connect with our true essence, who we are, right? Understanding that we are more than just our body. We are more than just our emotions. We are more than our thoughts. And when we connect to that, power within, knowing that whatever is happening outside is just the noise, because whatever is happening inside, that's what all that matters, and that's exactly what's gonna actually show up in our world, and it's actually something that we can control, and we could always harness to that power. And we could just know that we are in charge of our emotions and whatever is going on. Bruno?
For me, is also about your patterns, because there's always a pattern for everything, and there's always a start and finish. And I try to pay attention a lot to my patterns. Um, and obviously, I think a big pattern until explosion is letting it to reach a point where it overflows to a point where it has to come out because it doesn't feel anymore, right? can fill up anymore. It's already filled up. So then it just comes out of, and whatever. And I think that's kind of emotions as well. Is the amount of emotion and feeling that you take in, and instead of becoming positive, it dies, and what comes out of your mouth or your body is death, not life. um and I think like it's very important, again, like to know your patterns, and like, okay, if I block here, it won't go further than this. But if you can't block in anywhere else, if anything, just block in the beginning, right? And then, like John said, and Kara as well, and everybody in here, the awareness, right, of, oh wait, I did something different, which my body doesn't know, and my body does not know what to do next because I don't have that pattern, right? I have the pattern I always do, but now I started differently. So now what do I do? And that's when you start creating your own pattern to counter and legitimately delete and eliminate the other pattern that you had, which was obviously destructive, and destructive for you as well. Because one thing that I learned about emotions as well is that, like, the anger that you're feeling as in sort of justice to yourself, right? Because you don't see people around you being angry for you, so you have to be angry for yourself, right? And at the same time, it's like nobody feels that anger but you. So if nobody feels that anger but you, nobody suffers but you. So I think that's something that, like, it's good that stays in here. So every time there's a situation of anger, remember that.
That's beautiful. So just remember that we are all in it together. We are all riding this beautiful roller coaster, and we know that we always can find the tools and techniques how to just come back to ourselves and how to process better our emotions and how to deal with them and just open up. That we always have these friends, people that we can really talk to. There are coaches, there are therapists, there are a lot of communities where you could turn on. Just remember, you're not alone on this beautiful path, and we are all connected. And reach out to us. We are also here to help you and support you in any way we can. John?
Alrighty, I think with me, I think that's all we have to add for tools, because I agree with everybody on the awareness, making sure that you know your patterns, and not only that, trying to understand where that trauma came from. That's actually why I'm writing it down. I really, really want to figure out why is that there, so it doesn't happen again. So without all that said, we're gonna go to commercials. We're gonna say goodbye before we go to commercial, because after that we're all good to go. So love you, everyone. Thank you very, very much for being here. Anybody else has
Bye.
anything else to add?
Nope.
There we go.
Hi, I'm Kara Jean of Taking Care of Business. And what I know and what we do is we support you where you are with what you need. Because if you take care of you, then it's easier to take care of your people, and they're going to take care of your business. If that sounds interesting, come check us out at www.takingcarebusiness.com.
Do you want to learn how to dance salsa and bachata? Well, now's your chance. We have 2 locations in Lake Worth and Commercial Boulevard in Florida. The first class is complimentary. All you have to do is sign up now.
Are you ready to meet the most important person in your life? Are you ready to have the date with yourself? How about learning what you're all about and what are your heart desires? For that, I invite you for my interactive workshop, Meet and Greet Your True Self, where you tap into your potential and understand what exactly you would like to create in your life.